Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thought Upload podcast. I am here with Clifton Hurt as per usual.
Hey, what's up? How are you guys doing out there in Radio Land?
So seductive, sounds like Barry White.
You know, girl.
Exactly. Anyway, moving on, I guess it's a little bit on topic. Talking about something seductive but a little bit contentious. Roe v. Wade's been overturned, Cliff.
Crazy, bro.
Now, for people that have been living under a rock, what does this mean?
Basically, women's rights to their bodies, or just the choices have kind of been, thrown out the window in the sense of that women can't get abortions as they please. So, like, this is probably one of the biggest things that has kind of shifted. And it's also, I think, playing into how companies and states and local governments will also operate under these new rules, under this law that says that, women,
So
are allowed to have
I think
abortion.
and correct me if I'm wrong, because you are, still a US citizen, right, Cliff?
Yeah, I am.
Right. From my point of view, from what I've watched online from various commentators and stuff like
So
that.
abortions, right?
Yeah, abortion, sure. But the key facts of it were that there were some Supreme Court justices who were conservative.
Yeah.
Now, essentially, they've overturned Roe v. Wade,
Yeah.
which essentially meant that the ability to get an abortion across the United States, period. So the federal power to do it, you could do it in any state.
Yep.
And now the responsibility has been thrown to the states, which means if a woman wants to get an abortion at various stages, then she can't in some states and she can in others, which means that it puts it at disadvantage to people that are, I suppose, socioeconomically disadvantaged.
Yeah, of course. It's
stuff
crazy.
like that.
And it also, it affects everybody, right? Like, it doesn't just affect, one of the topics that came out of this that was really interesting to me was one where Kamala Harris made the comment, that's the vice president of the United States, made the comment.
She's the president. Joe's asleep at the wheel.
She was just saying that, like, it affects our sons too, and obviously, like, it affects women and it's their body, it's their choice. And everybody, like, when you look at it, you're like, well, why would you bring men into this? But, like, I think she was saying that, like, there is no Planned Parenthood then also is affected, right?
Yeah.
And this affects families, and women and men, generally are like in these families. And so young people now have to really think, about how they proceed and how they move. Because, the other thing is that people can keep living their lifestyles freely and, doing their thing. But then you're left with the consequences of this when you don't have access to, contraceptive
For sure.
things, facilities and places where you can do this. And, like, maybe there's some, like, larger scheme or purpose in the government doing this, which I historically am not, like, super knowledgeable about, like, population control or these kind of, like, topics. I would be interested to see why and how it affects, generations to come, right? Anytime these things are, like, these big decisions are made in governments, they always have some
I'll be the person to play devil's advocate. Why not? I'll do it. So the funny thing about this whole issue is, well, there's nothing funny about it, but I don't like the fact that it's always framed as a gendered issue, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the third trimester,
Yeah.
once the fetus is, like, fully, pretty much in the womb,
Yeah.
if you watch some clips online of how an abortion is conducted, it is brutal.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely brutal. Now, the point being is that, yes, don't get me wrong, it is her body, it's her choice, but it is also affecting another, in my opinion,
Yeah.
and this is where it gets contentious, is when does it become a human life? When are you killing a would-be soul, right? Which just brings back exactly to what you're saying about whether there is some sort of grand plan to increase the birth rate or something like that.
Yeah.
I suppose a positive from a negative outcome, like, it does seem a little bit backwards that it's even happened. A little bit.
Yeah, man.
But I suppose the silver lining to it would be that people would be a little bit more conservative when it came to intimacy, and that might lead to greater social bonding.
And I don't know about intimacy. Maybe you would just say sex in general, right?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're gonna think twice.
Besides rape and incest, which are two cases in which I think every woman has the right to have an abortion. In those instances, I would 100% has.
Yeah,
the right.
we back them, but like this case doesn't. Right, like it,
I think you'd be able to go to another state. I see. That's the thing with this overturning. Unless what I said previously, obviously with the economically disenfranchised.
Yeah.
Besides that, you can still have an abortion. It's just going to be a little bit more expensive to go.
Yeah,
get
right.
one.
But like, so people who are historically disenfranchised are going to be like majorly affected by this, right?
Yeah. Then it becomes like an idiocracy kind of thing. You seen that film?
Nah.
The stupid people breed the most.
No.
And the smart people don't. You seen that? I don't know the correlation between IQ and income, but I have a pretty good feeling. And that's on behalf of a moron speaking right here.
I'm gonna say you're fat. Yeah, man. I just think, I think it is an interesting like situation in the sense that like, people will have to think, right? About like how they proceed, and it does affect everybody. It does affect the local community. It does affect you, right? And so even like birth control and stuff like that, people were going to stack up on it, and the companies didn't even have enough medicine, even though they probably realized that there was going to be a surplus. But now companies can make and charge premium prices for this stuff that was like once not probably free, but like easy and accessible. Yeah. So it's interesting, like who benefits, how they benefit, and how they will benefit long term. Like I just always say, trace the money, trace the paper. Where's the paper going?
I think there's an obvious answer for that. It would be because they are conservative judges. It would trace back to Christianity, fundamentals of purity in that regard.
Yeah, man. But then are they just playing God and not letting people do their thing?
Well, yeah. But here's the thing with this one, right? Is that, and that's what I want to bring up, is this sets like a precedent because when there is kind of a centralization of power here, fascinatingly enough, because they've done it and been allowed to do it, it becomes a bit of a culture war kind of issue. And in that, now people might not agree with me here, but I do believe this is the case, is that culturally in the US media, in terms of things to do with diversity, things to do with trans rights and all this stuff, which, I'm pretty neutral on it. It is what it is. It's cool. But these could be some issues that conservatives, in their case, infringe upon their livelihood. Conservatives usually have the stance, from what I've seen, if I want to play devil's advocate, is that, as long as it doesn't infringe upon their lives and their children's lives, they're fine with it. So as soon as it got to, education of transgenderism in school, it became a bit much. So this might be like a reactionary thing from a right-wing political position that I think is happening here. Yeah.
It's just weird, man. Like Candace Owens also has like some fascinating like points about this too, right? So like she's coming at it from this perspective of like, yeah, it's really hard to explain her position, but she makes it sound good. She's a good talker. If you want to hear somebody's ideas, Candace Owens is one to kind of like listen to. I just really, it'll be interesting to see like how people proceed, like how women like support and like, how things change and how the narrative changes around this topic too, right?
And it's an interesting thing here with the whole the decision.
Yeah.
It's called like legally, if I want to get technical for a minute, because I'm reading the Wikipedia page. It's the Due Process Clause of the Fourth Amendment, United States Constitution, which provides the fundamental right to privacy. So this issue of abortion comes under privacy, which I find legally, if you can do that, fine. I think everyone deserves privacy. But where's the law been when all these tech companies have been abusing our privacy for decades? What is this?
Listen, man. Benefiting from it, bro. Come on. Benefiting from it, right? This is like we control. The government is like we control like everything, like it's like it reminds me of I don't know if you've seen what's the show? It's been a while, but I was like all into it. You know the show. You know. Everybody was talking about
Euphoria?
it. No.
No.
The one where like the people are in this dystopian future and like they're trying to like
Black Mirror?
escape from America to Canada. The main character and come on,
It's
bro.
a very generalized description. Just dystopian piece of media content. That describes like half the catalog in Netflix.
Wait, bro. Wait. Shit.
But as Clifton does that, I just want to make a remark of because this has a flow-on effect to the culture wars, and we're 2 years out from us. I think it is the elections in America.
Yeah.
And I was listening to, I think it was the Boys Cast on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they were going on about, because they were talking to Destiny, who's like a streamer.
Handmaid's Tales, bro. Handmaid's Tales.
Ah, okay. The Handmaid's Tale.
Have you ever seen Handmaid's Tale, bro?
I have not.
Oh,
no.
bro, it's worth
good.
to watch. If you watch it, you're gonna binge it though. It's
Yeah.
intense, bro.
It's intense.
It's intense.
Right. Anyway, so continue my point. They were talking about the candidates for the Republicans to run for presidency, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've got DeSantis and they've got Trump, and I think the more conservative, the more conservative option is to go with DeSantis. But the point that Destiny made on this podcast that I was watching was about that Trump's such an egomaniac that he's not going to let him run.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably true.
Yeah.
True. And I don't know. It's a weird one. I think Trump's a wild card. So in the respect that you want some sort of dominant global power that shares some resemblance of Western values, it's not a bad thing on a global scale. Like, for example, like if you just view the US president playing Trump with every nefarious leader, Putin, Kim Jong-un, all those people, you kind of want Trump there just because, well, he's just going to do everything to mess with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah.
I like the idea of a world leader putting uncertainty in the minds of people that have got other nukes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a game of chicken.
Yeah. I get that. I don't want to play that game at all. I don't want rich people.
But do you want to concede ground? Do you want, other powers to invade and, do that with land?
Nah. Right? Nah. Yeah. It's a slippery slope there.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, right? Like, I think, you when you put it like that, then, we take all of our freedoms and liberties for granted daily, right? Because at any given moment, there are countries that are bigger and stronger who can just say, all right, it's time now to spread out, Yeah. I don't know. I just Trump. I just feel like the world needs a whole host of new leaders, and maybe that's what's happening too. Maybe people will be assassinated, and all these new leaders, and like all these new leaders will emerge, and like
I can't remember what happened exactly, but it might have been ancient Greece or ancient Rome, or maybe it was just a friend in passing that told me this, Cliff. He made an interesting point that he believed that there should be I think it might have been Musk actually. It might have been Elon Musk saying that there needs to be an age limit on political leaders in the respect that they need to be old enough to lead, but not too old to be out of touch with the general population. The general population being the working population, people that are earning the majority of the money, or the working class, I suppose, the populist class, which I think was a good point.
Yeah, I think we want people in office who represent who we are,
right?
But I think also a part of like the job is to like make sure that you know what's going on around you, and be very aware with that, and sit with people, and not just become political pundits and people who just are. Sometimes people, you look at them, you're like, you're just a politician just to be a politician. Like they've gotten lost. The values have gotten lost in like just the act of being. This is how politics are, and it's like people lose their zeal, and you're just like, oh, it's just another politician.
Yeah, well, I think that's in part due to, I suppose, the legacy that Machiavelli kind of led.
Yeah,
he wrote a book called The Prince, and it's it's not the most ethical kind of book, I suppose.
I read The Prince.
Yeah, it's where Machiavellianism comes from.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But the funny thing with that is before that there was many books that kind of described how to be a prince of the day, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very old book, and essentially he outlines in the book ways in which you can appease the public if you're either from the ruling class, like you've inherited your power, or you're invading the ruling class and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's a good section in which he describes the difference between like to not show the public your vices. In other words, you can be a horrible person as long as you don't show it to the public. You're fine. So it's an interesting kind of like distinguishing factor between what a politician is to the public and what a politician actually is behind closed doors. And you hit the nail on the head, right? That's the thing that we don't like about politicians. And with a loose cannon like Trump, he is a showman because he just speaks his mind. You assume that there's authenticity there. You don't know, but you assume.
He is a showman.
Because he's not polished.
He is a showman, though, right? Like, he understands, like, TV. He understands, like, optics, He definitely understands optics, right?
Right. So
you look at his wife and him and like all the pictures that come, like he understood the assignment, but she wasn't having to borrow it. Like half the time she don't hold his hand or anything, right?
Yeah.
Like he understands that to a T, Like,
100%. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is good old Elon, Cliff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would rather look at like the future in a positive light versus doom and gloom of like political.
Are we going to that one first? All right.
Okay. Are we going to like?
No. We're there now. So we're talking about the Perseverance Mars mission, which is like a Mars rover, right, Cliff?
Yeah, heck yeah.
What's going on with that?
So this machine is on Mars, man. Like, and it also has like its own like drone that it flies around and like takes images and footage, bro. Like being put up daily. Like I've been like looking at some of the footages. It's like getting like rock out of the ground and like preparing for them to send something else over so we can actually get these samples back. Right? They're like learning how to like terraform and like basically use the. What is it there? I don't even know what's on Mars. What do you breathe in? Is it just carbon? Is it what's there?
I would think that you would need to.
But basically, they
create structures. They're transforming like tents, right?
Yeah, but they're also like transforming that. They send a machine there, and that machine, Perseverance, is actually like changing the air and showing them how much air they need to convert. They already know the numbers, actually, how much air they need to convert for a human to breathe. I don't know enough science 24 hours.
Maybe just plant a lot of trees.
It's amazing, though, bro.
Is it? Yeah.
It's pretty amazing, bro.
Right. So that's interesting.
That's the future, bro.
Do you reckon nuclear war is more likely if we have another colony on Mars?
Oh, for sure.
Do you reckon?
For sure.
Isn't that like a threat to humanity just to have like a...
No, because Musk is trying to like take us up there so we can
But do you reckon the likelihood of having a backup planet is kind of, it increases the likelihood of a nuclear attack where someone just goes, screw it, I can just go to Mars?
I think that like but I think that our intention is like to be sustainable, sustain life, right? Like so.
Right.
So, like, I don't think Mars is the only place, right?
But isn't that interesting? Because historically, you had like the Cold War, which kind of led to the space race, right? And what I'm talking about hypothetically is like resurgence of space travel, which is like I suppose just like it's like a new age version of the Cold War, or whatever. But there's less competitors now. I'm pretty sure Russia's still involved in space travel.
Of course.
Yeah. So you've got that. And then that Cold War could result in an actual war in the future. Dystopian.
Star Wars, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. So
we've hated those Americans ever since they were on Earth. Like, what kind of shit is that?
Now, do you think the aliens will contact us once we set up on Mars?
Oh, for sure.
Do you reckon that's enough to impress an alien population?
Yeah, for sure. Like they're into we're into because
I reckon
interplanetary. Like
I reckon statistically they're out there, but they're just not impressed by us enough yet. They're just like, they've only got one planet.
Like little ants,
It's like a measuring contest. They're just like, they only got one planet, man. Come on.
They don't know how to get off that planet.
Yeah.
But then when you start like playing around in space and like actually getting back and forth, like which is actually starting to happen a little bit more, and people are saying they're starting to see more unidentified objects, and
I think the disappointing part about I think it's called the Fermi paradox, like the possibility of the existence of aliens in the universe or another universe, whatever it might be. The disappointing thing about it is we never like received so much as like a radio signal.
Yeah. We sent some stuff out into space recently.
Yeah, there's rumors about stuff that the CIA knows and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like we've sent some stuff out in space recently, like radio and stuff like that, trying to like show like our this is who we are.
We're intelligent. Yeah, maybe they just didn't like the song. Can you imagine if they sent Elvis? They sent Elvis out into space. Yeah, and they're just like this. Well, this isn't salt. I'm not gonna respond.
Wasn't that pretty? Wasn't that what's his name? Wasn't that somebody else? I'm trying to blank. Little Ricky, Pretty Ricky, Little Richard.
Yeah, what about
Pretty
him?
Richard, Little Richard.
What about him?
Wasn't that his song originally or something like that?
Maybe I've got no idea. You know more about the roots of Elvis than I do, really.
Bro,
I just know him as a
watched
white
the
guy.
movie, bro.
Yeah, but I wasn't paying. I was just like, there's some cool guy that co-opted.
It's pretty cool.
Black
It's a
culture,
good movie,
as per usual. Seems to be standard.
And we like him.
Right.
He's invited to the barbecue.
So back to Elon. Now his daughter doesn't really want to associate with him anymore.
What happened with his daughter, bro?
So apparently, I don't know 100% what the developing ins and outs of the story are, but from what, and Cliff is kind of Googling it for me right now, but from what I can take from it, is that she doesn't like Elon Musk's politics, in which is very interesting because Elon's former partner Grimes describes himself as gender fluid, right?
Yeah.
And I think there might be some tensions there because he's not seeing his former partner anymore.
Yeah.
And so his daughter is trans, and so she wants to disassociate from the richest man in the world. And the ironic thing about all this is a lot of his children are named like Xavier and stuff like that, and like they're named like computer names. It's like, well, okay, if you don't care about traditional names of kids, then surely you don't care about gender labels or gender heteronormative, whatever binary. Yeah.
I mean, I can't answer that question, right? Like,
We don't know Elon, but yeah.
Yeah, you get me? Like, but then wouldn't he be like a very like logical?
Well, he's voting Republican in the next election. He's been pretty vocal about that. I think that's what this is about.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I really think so. And everybody's gonna follow his way. 18-year-old who was born Xavier Musk is now Vivian Jana Wilson after coming out as a trans earlier this year. Several other stars have paved the way for Vivian taking action against their own parents in the past. It doesn't really say what it's about, but you're probably right. It's probably about like, what he's standing on, and it didn't really get into detail about the politics. When the video document said the name change was motivated by the fact they no longer wish to be related to a biological father in shape or form. Birth certificate reflected the name of daughter. Gender change issue shortly. Judge ruling and petitioners. Yeah. Yep. And it just must come in the paperwork in a meet tweet. Justin wrote, I had a weird child. My 18-year-old said to me, I can't believe. Yep. And he has controversial comments about he's saying pronouns suck, and I absolutely support trans, but all these pronouns are like a nightmare. And he declared so like I think he's taken I guess some form of like a traditional position, and
I think it's also a philosophical position too, because when a person starts defining their own lived experience, it becomes very difficult to find a balance between like subjective reality and objective reality. It becomes it's very complicated process, and we've experienced this too with people that we've met in life, where it's like unless someone explicitly tells you to refer to them as they them or whatever they might be wanted to refer
but isn't it just like respecting people for who they are? No,
it's fine. I think it's 100% fine, and I'm okay with it, but it gets to a stage where like if it
I think I misgendered somebody. I think I said that before.
Yeah, but
I
if
misgendered somebody. I didn't do it on purpose, but like I just didn't know if that person was going as a guy or a girl, and it was hard to like that. So the thing, and it's really weird, right? Like, cause then it's like, should I ask or do I just leave it? I mean, but I shouldn't assume. and like it was like this person was kind of like androgynous, and like I couldn't tell either way, and so I didn't know if they wanted to be. Like, I didn't know where they were in the transition. I didn't know if it was, like, I couldn't tell if it was a boy becoming a girl or a girl becoming a boy.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to, like, so I just went with, I think I used both, like, he, she.
Right.
And I just completely misgendered the person, like.
But the other thing, too, is people that kind of want some sort of...
attention.
No, not attention, no. People that want some resemblance of traditionalism when it comes to gender roles will make the argument that if it infringes upon biological females, then it becomes a little bit of a problematic kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, it does.
It does.
When it comes to like sports stuff, I'm still kind of like
bathrooms.
Yeah. Like,
prisons. It's a lot of things.
It's just a really interesting like thing, but But then we get into layers of like conversations, right? Because then we're just talking. We are talking about people.
It's such a difficult conversation.
Well,
to have.
even
if I have the conversation with someone that's left leaning, and I tried to do this on Discord earlier this morning, is that they'll presume that if I am saying that a trans woman is not a woman, so if I say that, which I don't believe, whatever, I think that if you're an adult human female, then you're a woman.
Yeah.
So if you define it as that, then it's fine. It's cool. I'll accept that. But if I say that, then people will go, oh, well, then you're denying the existence of that they exist. Yeah. I was like, how?
But then, like, I mean, right. But you got to remember, like,
because if you don't gender me in conversation, I don't think that you are denying my existence.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I would think it'd be more respectful. I think it's more respectful for an individual to suggest that they're not going to be delicate. Does that sound wrong? I don't know if it's wrong or right.
But what do you mean by delicate?
So I mean, content in their own skin, and that they would have courage in their own convictions for their views and why they've transitioned and why they've done X, Y, Z, and they want to be treated in their current identity, and that's fine. But not irrational or emotional about it.
But I think like you gotta remember, people like live in a world where like they're traditionally not accepted, but they are here. Like they are who they are, right? Like I know people who are trans, man, who are identified as trans, who, and this is not just, because I know, like it's just people that I've met, like who've been like this all their life, like when I went to Mongolia, like I met a lot of people who've lived as like a different gender like most of their life and just have been treated as such, but it was a choice they were made early on, and like what you find is that it's like these ideas have been around for a long time, like people who are non-binary and like but they just didn't have an identity before, right? The things that they like would be considered queer or femme or whatever they are, however they identify. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but that's I think what we notice most as men, right? And so like I think it's always been around. I think it's being celebrated, but I think in the process of it being celebrated, sometimes people get like overly emotional, irrational, and those people are different from the people who know who they are, regardless. You know what I mean? Like, you get me?
The only time I've ever had any kind of leg to stand on at all with transgenderism is about kids transitioning too early. I had no idea personally when I was 16 what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
If I told my mum, oh, I'm a chick or whatever it might have been, maybe that was true back then. But I still wanna grow up a little bit before I can make that life altering decision.
Gonna be a car transformer.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where the kind of underlying joke comes into it. But you get what I'm saying, right? Yeah. So it's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Crazy thing. Anyway, that's a deep dive.
Yeah, bro. I mean, that's a tough one, man. Because I have a lot of trans. I love like my trans family and like friends, and I get it. But it's a lot of hostility. And I get it too. People. You still got gay people being killed and beat up, and the trans community are like suffering brutally at the hands of people, right? and it's rough out here. It's rough out here for them.
I don't know. Can't comment. But yeah.
So,
But but I think the point being that I'm trying to hammer it down in this podcast specifically is, no matter what end of ideological thinking, individual thinking, whatever it might be, or whatever you define yourself as, I think both sides need to have more empathy with each other.
Oh, for sure.
And the ability to empathize with the other person as a person.
But it
transcends gender. That's
but most people don't operate out of respect, right? And then the disrespect.
But even if a person's being disrespectful, I still think there needs to be empathy on the case of why they're being disrespectful. Dig deeper a little bit to suggest that it's not an attack on them necessarily. It's an attack on them because of their lived experience in traditional heteronormative roles. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but are we to be patient with that and not let it end?
I'm not saying we should accept it. I'm just saying that it would be less offensive to the person on the receiving end if they understand where it was coming from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're full of picture.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's difficult when a person's coming at you hot and heavy with words that you don't like. But
bust their heads, bro. No, don't use violence, guys. We can use our words. Use your words, children. Don't resort to violence. It's never the way. You'll probably get locked up.
Nootropics.
Oh, bro. We got all kinds of nootropics. What you want to talk about?
You do a disclaimer before we get into it. Go on.
Disclaimer: I've never used or ever expressed or ever enticed or
The general disclaimer is, Jesus, Cliff, she's always pulling my leg on there. So the general disclaimer is that before taking any health supplement, any dietary supplement, you consult with your GP or doctor before. Take a blood test, work out where you're at. Anyway, so everyone's seen the movie Limitless, right?
Limitless.
Okay. Am I going to take the floor, am I? Okay, fine. So in this movie Limitless, Bradley Cooper is a washed-up writer, can't write this book. He's been struggling to write this book. He's in a bar, picturing a scene. He can't complete a thought of what the book's about. It's quite funny actually to watch that opening scene. It's describing some sort of political narrative, and then he kind of he's just zones out and drinks his beer. Anyway, so he takes this pill from his brother-in-law or something like that, and it's a nootropic. So a nootropic is any kind of dietary supplement that's supposed to aid and help brain function.
Yep.
Right. And there's a variety of kind of stuff out there. Anyway, the reason we're bringing it up is some of them is interesting, and a lot of them are worth looking at just because of the fact that a lot of them are natural mushrooms.
Yeah.
They're roots.
Yep.
So they're very kind of almost think of traditional medicine in a way.
Yeah. Hey, but it's a lot of nootropic things that have been used as nootropics, right?
Coffee's a nootropic.
Coffee's a nootropic.
Nicotine's a nootropic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nicotine on its own, don't smoke.
I'm just looking up traditional ones because all cultures have their own nootropics, so I'm just trying to find so promoting nootropic or preparing to control nutritional metabolism of cells and nervous system, right? So even what people take the root of I think you mentioned different roots of vegetables and stuff like that, and ginseng and all that kind of stuff are traditional, all those are kind of traditional nootropics that we know about, that have positive effects, but also can have.
There are negative consequences
negative
for this.
Consequences.
The point with this kind of stuff is, I would say, once you've consulted with your doctor, done a blood test, see what works for you, right? And see what you can and can't consume. Then you go on a stretch of trial run. I'm going to take X for, I think, the recommended. Some of them are 2 weeks, depending on how long it's going to take for you to experience any kind of benefits. Now, if you do experience benefits, there are indications, and I think this is with anything. Try and take some time to cycle off it. Go off it just to assess level of addictiveness.
Because you got to see
any form of dependency. Yeah. And then also, I suppose, when you're off it, you kind of sense your level of cognition factor or how you're performing mentally without it.
Yeah.
Because the skepticism that I have with a lot of this kind of stuff is you'll never find a limitless pill. It doesn't exist. It's fantasy. And the other thing with it is a lot of it, and I do believe this to be true, can be kind of a placebo effect.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is not bad because it can create habits which become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's not bad.
But what about the scientific studies that like go along with it? Right, that's the
There's
anecdotal.
not enough of
like,
it out there,
Yeah.
which is annoying. But
So what about your what is it? Ashwagandha.
ashwagandha. Yeah, no,
Tell me about that.
I'm experimenting with a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, ashwagandha is a root, and it's pretty much you just drink it like a tea,
Yep.
and it's well, I mean, you've drank it.
Yeah.
Gives you a mellow vibe, doesn't
It's
it?
pretty good, bro.
Mellow vibe. Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah. And it's not a stimulant, so it just gives you like a kind of.
Yeah.
Cliff does mention it does like what did you just said it tastes like coffee.
Yeah, it kind of tastes like coffee. It can be used as definitely like a coffee replacement. It's pretty strong. Has that like kind of bitter, robust. Yeah, it has the robustness of coffee. That's how I would describe it.
For sure. And now this is actually a bit more of a nefarious one, Cliff, that you've got more experience with is Modaf. Now, what is Modaf actually for prescribed usually?
So it is definitely for narcolepsy.
People fall asleep a lot, yeah?
Yeah.
Lazy.
But
I'm
like,
joking.
People, and I've heard of people using it in small doses just to kind of like help focus and like use in clarity. It's something that like you can find pretty much. And yeah, in most experimentations, in my own personal experimentation,
What do you find?
it's just clear. It's not something that like I'll use like all the time or I have used all the time, but in my experience, it's it's just very like clear.
When do you use it? Under what circumstances?
Oh, like if you're trying to like get some stuff done in a day, you just want to focus and you're at home and you want to like work through some stuff, you get it done.
Righto, yeah. Because I think it's important to add where this whole culture kind of came from.
Yeah.
A lot of it kind of stemmed from Silicon Valley and like
so work
business
culture,
business,
like
right,
really taking
high
stuff
performers,
down. Yeah,
all that
like
kind
really
of stuff.
high performance culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I think another like nootropic that like people are like talking about though too is like I guess the whole idea of like using microdosing and stuff like that as a way to
LSD, that's
have
a huge thing.
cognitive
Yeah.
like cognitive enhancing abilities for creativity and clarity.
Unless I'm an artist, I'm never gonna do that.
Yeah, that's some
Never
intense
do
stuff.
that.
But I know people that like actually like
Unless you're a designer. But
Like-
that's the thing. I've never gotten creative benefits out of like, say, for instance, weed or
Yeah.
pot.
I don't knock
Never got
anybody's
it.
I don't really knock anybody's like personal like experimentation. All I say is that like if it's something that you feel like you can't control, then it's something that you probably shouldn't be doing, you know?
Yeah, and I've only recently quit cigarettes and all nicotine-related products. 2 months clear. which is
Congratulations,
good.
bro. That's huge,
Thanks, man.
That's not an easy thing to do.
But that's a good example of it's combined with other toxins and stuff like that. But that's an example of a very, very powerful but addictive and a vicious cycle. So a nootropic and toxic chemicals.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yeah, man.
horrible.
For sure. But I think like people should definitely try nootropics. I always think that like you explore your body, you find out about them, like how they affect some people and see how it affects you, you know? Like we're on this earth to live and live a good life, a happy life, a healthy life. And I think
Do
some
your
things help.
research. That's the main
Yeah,
thing.
definitely do your research. I mean, like
'Cause when
coffee have positive effects on people and some negative effects on people, you know?
When it comes to like if you really wanted to,
And
but
nobody cycles off coffee.
sure, but it's the funny thing is like if you're gonna do like say nicotine, I think it's like lozenges and like gum. I guess you could use that, but I mean, man,
Nicorette.
I think if you're a former smoker or whatever, I wouldn't suggest it.
You don't like the Nicorette, bro?
No,
The Nicorette
wouldn't do it.
patches.
Would not do it.
Yeah.
There's the next thing I want to talk about, which is kind of creativity.
Your transitions are smooth these days.
Kind of
bro.
creativity, man. I know. We absolutely know when we're switching it up. I'm stirring the pot.
Next. Thank you.
I wanted to bring this up. NFTs, so non-fungible tokens,
Don't know nothing about it, bro.
attached to cryptocurrency, mate. Come on, wake up. Bored apes, stuff like that.
You got some crypto, bro.
No, I don't. But
Yeah.
but
I got some coin. I got some crypto on CoinSpot.
He does. He's got some crypto. But I wanted to make the mention of the idea of being a scam artist, right?
Yeah.
So this is the idea of being a con artist or something like that. Now,
bro, you don't got to tell us about you. We know about
A lot
you
of
already.
hilarious.
Scammer, bro.
A lot of NFTs have pump and dump schemes associated with them. This is when you get a lot of people online to invest within a NFT project. The valuation of it skyrockets, and then people just sell it. And once they sell it, all other interested buyers that are associated with the project fall off, which means the inherent value of what you bought has depreciated substantially. So I think it's an interesting example of actual art being a scam form of art, i.e. a scam artist. So yeah,
you got to play on words there, bro.
A little bit, yeah. But yeah, but that kind of transitions into what we're talking about with Bored Ape Yacht Club. So everyone knows about the Bored Apes, like celebrities and stuff like that have gotten bored with buying these, and there's been a lot of investigative YouTube commentary about their roots, their association with online communities like 4chan, and their association with, I suppose, dark corners of literary passages, the alt-right, and kind of Nazi connotations. The reason for this is there's a concept called I think it's that simianization, which is where you use an ape to discourage a person's race.
Right.
And I believe Cliff is gonna pull it up.
Simianization.
Yeah. Just type in racist Bored Ape Yacht Club. That'll come up. But the thing about that is that so many people are buying these NFT projects and then they don't know. So the whole thing with it is that there's these very smart dudes who understand the history behind all of this racism. Yeah. And they're using it in their art, and people that might be of black descent are buying art that's mocking them, you know? So crazy,
that's really
horrible.
Fucked up,
yeah, really bad.
Well, everybody's trying to like make a penny out here, like people. So more monkey business is the accuses conceptual artists of trademark infringement. You know, the word Club NFT has enticed Justin Bieber.
Yeah. So there's a lot of problems associated with these projects, but I think it stems back to a lot of things associated with the different people that are involved in the project. There are quite a few like journalists, people that write for the project. And the funny thing about all this is they've made a female the CEO, right? And the annoying thing about it is these are actually very weak men. If they've directly made the CEO the female, that could be the fall person for their transgressive kind of behavior through these art projects. Yeah. I don't believe that's actually covering. Yeah, here we go. No,
right there. It is right there.
Yeah, so here we go. So it's coming out now. So there's GordonGarner.com has done some research claiming that there's some anthropomorphized monkeys carried racist connotations against black and Asian people. So and it stems to alt-right movement called Kala the Yuga, or I believe it's like Surf the Yuga online, and it's the self-proclaimed authors behind the Bored Ape Yacht Club are intentionally embedding edgy and subversive elements with Nazi and racist themes. So they're mocking people, one, using racist kind of symbology, and they're also mocking other people for not being intelligent enough to look it up.
Yeah, but it's interesting that like people do all of this stuff to make them feel superior. It's very ego-driven shit, you know. Like at the end of the day, it's just ego-driven shit. Like, who's gonna go around looking for somebody to like mock them? So then, how do you tell them they're not intelligent enough because you're mocking them? Because you know what I mean? Like it's just stupid. Like it takes a lot of time.
It's like being in a debate. It's like being in a debate with someone, Cliff, and some people like use it. Well, that's a form of this, and they use a word that you don't know. Or like there's a term you don't understand, and they don't clarify it for you. It's like kind of like a mocker. Like you could say something so more simple to reach a wider audience.
But like I think like those people are the people that like, you know, like they need something to like, you know.
Yeah.
Those are not my people.
I can say to you, I was chortling the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what chortle means?
No, but if I took you to the hood in the States and I told you like a whole bunch of slang, you wouldn't know either.
Yeah,
you know?
but my point behind that is I should have just said to you, I was laughing the other day.
Yeah.
But chortle is like an English way of saying, like, you know, you're very jovial. Like,
I was like, yo, we were kicking the bobo and we were like doing this. You'd be like, what the fuck?
yeah,
are you
Bobo,
doing?
I thought it was a bear. Bobo the bear?
You'd be like, what?
Bobo the bear. But I suppose this really, like, you know, swerves nicely into being educated.
Yeah.
Cliff.
Oh, bro.
Right.
I've been, I guess, obviously spending a lot of time like in education, and doing some things around, and I just really am interested like these days in like what parents are like doing, as parents to like work with the teachers, because it's really interesting. Like you look at some communities and you're like, clearly this community can be tighter if the parents didn't see like if parents saw that like school, especially at private schools, like if school was an investment, and I think I may have mentioned this before, like an investment in their children's future, but not just an investment, like they're not paying for a service. They're making an investment. And
what's going on? What caused this thought?
Well, no, I just think like it's just interesting. Like I, as I go around like different schools and I talk to like different like people and talk to different educators, sometimes I see like a lot of unity and it's like really good and it benefits the children. Then I see like discord, and I think parents sometimes don't realize, and educators alike, don't realize that like these relationships, when your kids are with people all day long, it's good to like develop at least a relationship that like behooves you to like work in the best interest of the children.
What are we talking about? Are we talking about parent to educator relationships? Are we talking about educator to children relationships? What are we talking about?
The whole gamut. But I think educators know who they are and where they stand in the realm.
I want specifics.
No, I just think parents and educators. Like I see a lot of like disunity, like in parents and educators. Even like going over
Can you comment
to
or
the
is
East
it
Coast.
too...
No, it's like personal for work, so
Right,
I can't
right.
really say too much, right? Like I'm on a live platform, I can't put people on blast.
Why is this a topic?
Yeah, I'm going as far as I want to go. Thank you. Boundaries.
Okay, so I'll
I think culture right now is like moving fast, whatever that means. And that's a broad statement, but like I think things are moving fast. Children are like diving in and out of different cultures and experiencing things that we didn't experience so quickly, or like we're not exposed to as children because of the internet. And I think like parents and teachers alike need to like be with it, like, and really engage the children and really try to meet them where they are, because they're dealing with a lot more than like, what we think, like so much is hitting them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. I think people that have been born into always having, and don't get me wrong, like I was one of these people, like I just think if you are a millennial,
You're a private school kid, aren't you?
Yeah, but I was born in '94.
Private school kid.
Sure. But still, when I was in primary school, I don't believe I might have. No, wait, no. So I still had access to a computer, but I didn't use the internet as much. I think the portability of smartphones have made access to the internet a lot easier for everyone.
Of course.
But the point stands is like if you were born into being able to search anything online, then the education you receive online is always going to be compared to the education you receive in class.
Yeah.
And that causes problems behind exactly what a person's learning in their free time whilst they're surfing the web versus what they're learning against the curriculum.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, but I suppose you were talking about kind of that disunity with the education system. I can only imagine that the educators are restricted in what they can and can't teach to the students, and that's annoying because they can't really get around a student that tries to challenge them with differing opinions and points of views, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Not necessarily. No, I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's like what we're teaching in education. I think it's just the connectability part. I think I'm thinking about the connectability. I think the unity for the best interest of the child. Like that's exactly what I mean. Like I think, like I see that like children need more than like what maybe we are all like giving, but we're not as capable if we're not working together. I think that's my point. That was it. That's all I had for like the education thing. I just think like like education is changing too. It's changing so quickly, right?
Good.
And it should not like, and it should, right? Like rightfully so. But I think like as educators, and we need to like rethink how we tackle like situations, and how we look at like our worldview as it relates to education, because I think it's changing really, really swiftly. But I think education has always been changing, right? It's always evolved, and the way we teach, the things that we're thinking about in the classroom. And I think Australia actually has a really good grasp on like inclusion, and like a lot like inclusion is really, really important. Having like all students like in the same classroom, but like working all on different things. I think Australian teachers are really like amazing at like what they do, and like it's really cool to see, like, I guess being in education is really cool to see like passionate teachers. Like you forget that there are a lot of passionate educators out there who like want to make every day like a full out experience for the kid, like and that's been a privilege actually in the last like few years to see. But like with any like thing that's connected to the government, and like connected to politics, and connected to our community, like we always have to like reevaluate and like try to make it better.
The changes there, but I think from certain people's perspectives, it's a lot like watching a tree grow. Yeah. But
it's not. It's funny. I went into a school the other day. I said not say the name, and one of the ladies was like just one of the older ladies who had been there for like years, was like watering the plants, and I thought it was like a really like meta weird kind of moment, because it was like, wow, this lady's been here for a long time, probably taught some of these like children's parents, and she's here like early in the morning like watering the plants and stuff. Like it's kind of like when she's just like there, and she's like, yeah, I'm doing this while such and such is away, and you're like, that's amazing. Like,
did you want to do the mindfulness corner? Are we still doing that kind of segment?
Are you doing your segment, bro?
Or do you want to plug?
Bro, you doing your segment? Oh man, check out 3 p.m. 3 p.m. got a new music video out. It's called Don't Stop Believing by Journey. It's a cover video featuring 3 p.m. That's my acoustic trio that I sing with.
How's that spelled? Where can you find it?
THR 3 p.m. _music at Instagram, on Instagram, and
Can
YouTube.
I listen to it at any other time besides 3 p.m.?
Oh man, you listen to it at 3 p.m. It's gonna give you like a boost for the rest of the day,
so
bro.
I can't listen to it at any other time.
You can't listen to it. You can. But if you listen to it at 3 p.m., it'll be magical.
Okay.
No, check it out. We're doing that. Not too much more going on for me, bro. I'm about to be on break soon, so it'll be nice to like do some more podcasting and do some training, and
Sure.
Sure.
I love how Cliff just there. You can't see because this is just an audio only version podcast. But he got really excited, and the entire podcast he's like off to one side, listeners. And when I told him to plug, he gets really into the mic and talks like this. And he goes, I'm so okay. Then.
I'm in that mode, bro. Right there on the mic. I hope you hear my voice loud and clear. That's good. That's because Mason is studying at the moment, and so like he's been thinking about all his topics, and then he's like, come on, let's do an hour, like, get your topics. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I did a reaction video the other night, and I did 50 minutes.
It's a plug. Power Passion reaction.
No, that's just my name. So Mason Devereaux Smith. You just literally just type in Mason, so Mason, Devereaux Devereaux -Smith, and you'll be able to find that reaction video.
Yep, cool.
It's a long one. Not a lot of people spell that right. Not a lot. And it's like, parlez-vous français, man? Like,
Devereaux.
But anyway, we really do hope that you've enjoyed listening to the Thought Upload podcast.
For sure.
Please leave the like, subscribe to the channel, and then also do us a favor, leave some comments below, just to give us an idea of where your thoughts on the content.
Yeah, would you like us to like speak a little bit longer on some stuff? I got a guitar too. I'll like sing some songs, make some songs up on the fly.
Yeah, what do you like? What do you dislike? What are you neutral on? Those types of things. And then also we will make a Patreon link available soon, based on that feedback, essentially.
Yeah.
We want to know if you as a podcast consumer like the idea of paying for premium content. I myself occasionally have done that, but we want to know where you want us to research, I suppose, for content creation. I don't mind doing it 'cause it's a good intellectual kind of process for me, and it's fine. good.
It's a good intellectual process for me.
I'm trying not to sound pretentious.
Nah, this is this cat all day, every day. Thank you so much for listening in. You have tuned in to the Thought Upload with Clifton and Mason. Peace.
Bye.